Hello and welcome back to Body Beyond the Scales, the podcast that helps you get stronger and more confident in your body through building better habits. Today I'm joined by nutritionist Jo Meadows to talk all about collagen, what is the deal with collagen, and basically everything collagen. So first off, Jo, who are you?
Hi, as you said, I'm Jo Meadows. I'm a registered nutritionist. I think 2 modules of completing my MSc in clinical nutrition at University of Aberdeen. I'm a mum of 2 teenage boys. I live in Nottingham, have a full-time job, so I'm busy. So I love a hack. If there is anything that we can do to bypass, make things quicker, I'm the first to share it. I'm also 53, so in terms of I too would like less wrinkles and better skin. And again, if there's things that work, I will be sharing them. And I guess that's something we'll go on and talk about. So
let's get into it then. What is collagen?
Okay, so we'll look at it 2 ways. Firstly, what is collagen in the body? So in the body, collagen is the most abundant protein in your body. So it's really the structure of your skin, your bones, your connective tissue, in a nutshell. And I suppose you could kind of call it the scaffolding, your body's scaffolding, if you like. It's constantly being broken down and being built back up. And to do that, your body uses protein, vitamin C, some other nutrients probably along the lines of iron, zinc and copper. But our body does break it down. And, so if you're not eating enough protein and you're not eating enough vitamin C, that build-up maybe doesn't happen as well. But also, as you age, the breakdown happens quicker, unfortunately. Sun exposure, smoking, all these things play a part in our collagen production, basically. Yeah. So that's it in your body in a nutshell. I don't know whether you need any more detail on that, but...
No, so just to summarize there, collagen is a protein that's responsible for like your skin, it's in your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments, yep. And it's a big, I don't know, sorry about that, my watch has just started buzzing. I'll just say that line again, hang on, just pause that, throw it down there we go. So just to summarize there, collagen is what connects it's in your skin, it's in your muscles, it's in your tendons, it's everywhere. It's abundant within the body, and it's, I guess, structural. I think that's probably the best way to say it. Yeah. It does a lot of structure and architecture within your body. So when you said there's a difference between collagen within the body and out of the body, what does that mean? What's the other side?
So the other side of it, and what we'll probably all see online all the time, is collagen supplements, okay? Mm-hmm. And this is different because it's basically processed animal tissue, so animal skin, bones, broken down, turned into gelatin, and then further processed. So when it gets on the shelves, when it's in the collagen packaging, it'll say something like hydrolyzed collagen peptides. And that is, how it's sold in its powdered form or in your gummies or your capsules, however you're taking it. But when we digest that, so we'll take that collagen, see people putting it in their coffees, we will ingest that, but our body will further break it down. And that's the thing. It doesn't stay in our body, or whilst it's called a collagen supplement, our body will break that down further into its kind of amino acid form. Okay,
and those amino acids, just to summarize there, are just building blocks, aren't they? They're like little bricks, effectively.
Absolutely, so yes.
It will take the little bricks and you take it in as collagen and it breaks that down into little bricks that it can use.
Yes, exactly that. So, and all those little bricks have different functions. Now, the amino acids that build collagen, they're structural proteins, but you'll also have some functional proteins. Okay, so with the collagen powder, you'll eat that, drink it, however you're going to take it, and then it'll get broken down to those amino acids. Now, here's the bit that maybe they don't tell you. Once you break that down further into those amino acids, they can go off and do many things. So they don't necessarily definitely go to your skin or definitely go to your joints. They could go off and help your immune system or build antioxidants or even be used as energy. So we can't guarantee how your body is going to use those. If that does that make sense?
That does make sense. So effectively, we start off with a wall. We knock the wall down, and we take out the bricks, the individual bricks in there, and that's the amino acids. We then the body takes the bricks off, but it just builds walls where it needs to build walls. It doesn't necessarily build them in the
Where
same
you
place
want
that
them.
it came from and where you
Yeah.
want them. It builds them wherever it feels like it needs them. So if it feels like
Absolutely.
you need some more muscle, it will do some more muscle. If it feels like you need some more white blood cells, it will make some more white blood cells.
Absolutely. And
Cool.
that's the bit I think. I'm not anti collagen supplements. I can't, there's nothing particularly where you're kind of going to go, oh, that's going to do loads of harm. Unless say like, I don't know, you picked a marine collagen powder and you had a seafood allergy and you didn't realize what you'd purchased. I wouldn't necessarily say they are damaging. I just think they are overhyped for that reason. Is that once we've digested them into the body, they can go off and do many functions. Now, people might say, well, those functions sound great. I still need them. So, and that is true to a point. But what is missing from collagen is having all its 9 essential amino acids. And for people who've not heard that before, so when something's essential, that means that we have to eat it, basically. So when we take a collagen powder, some of those 9 essential amino acids are missing. So it's not classed as a complete protein. So whilst it can be helpful, I think it's got its limitations, and that's why I think it's overhyped, really.
Yeah, so in terms of, again, just summarising that, it's when you eat it, it breaks it down and it comes down into these essential it comes down into these amino acids. Now, you've just said there are the 9 essential amino acids, but we know that collagen isn't necessarily high in all 9 of them. So this is where it becomes really interesting. And there's one special brick that we're going to talk about called leucine.
Leucine, yes.
Leucine is really useful because it's used in muscle protein synthesis, and that is just a really fancy way of saying building more muscle. So
absolutely,
if you are going to the gym and you are resistance training, you are exercising, and you are signaling to your body, we want to build more muscle, you need to have enough you need to have high enough leucine levels that you are able to synthesize more muscle. So I think that's something really important to highlight there, that the collagen that you are eating, although when you track it in to your MyFitnessPal, to your whatever, it will increase your amount of protein for the day, not all of that protein has been equal in terms of the quality of what you've brought in terms of that use. So you will have a lot of bricks from the collagen of certain amino acids, but not necessarily all of them that we need.
Absolutely.
So if we wanted to, say, get a type of protein in that was slightly better and had all 9 of these amino acids, where would we start? And so we can start getting benefits for skin, muscle, bone, etc.
Really, it's just your overall protein intake, in my opinion. Yep. So meat, fish, eggs, dairy, vegetarian sources, your beans, lentils, chickpeas, all those good protein sources.
100%.
I think, throughout the day, palm size, mix it up. You're also getting other things, is the thing. So you're not only getting protein. One, it'll keep you fuller for longer, but you're probably going to get some minerals and some vitamins. If you're having things like beans, lentils, chickpeas, you're also going to be getting bags of fibre. So it's that food matrix as well, rather than just taking it in a powdered form, where you get all those extra benefits. And also it's probably going to help your skin, because then your body will break it down into those amino acids that we keep talking about, and then they'll go off and do the job. And you're so right, Holly. Leucine is, it is unique in that it clearly signals for muscle strength and muscle protein synthesis, if I can't even get the words out. But you're not going to get that from your collagen powder. And I think that's the bit that people perhaps, they see it as a complete protein, or they see it as something that's definitely going to go to their skin and definitely going to go to their joints. But we'll see when you look at the studies that have been done, there is some that shows a small amount of effect in terms of skin, very surface level, very much about hydration. But when you actually extract the studies that are done by supplement companies, don't quite even get that small effect, which says a lot. They're also, the studies aren't particularly well controlled. A lot of them are self-reported. So it may be even people who've been sent a supplement or have already paid for it. So they're already invested. So they feel like it's making a difference. So you can sometimes take that with a pinch of salt.
The other thing to jump in on there as well is they often don't control for total protein. So if you are seeing a packet claim,
absolutely,
this has improved this and this, when they've done the studies, they haven't necessarily, they've had a control group, which is great, and we will definitely want to see that in science, but like they've had a control group, but the control group, they haven't given an adequate amount of protein, so they've not necessarily checked that they're getting enough protein overall. And
absolutely.
That's where we're then making sure that we're doing good science and not just science.
Absolutely. And that control is so important, because we don't know all the other things that people are doing. Are they smoking? Are they having fillers and Botox, microneedling? You know, like you say, are they having enough protein? Do they have enough vitamin C? You know, all those things aren't really, in some of the studies, aren't accounted for. There's some studies when it comes to joints that are show a slightly better in terms of their outcome. So I think it really shows in people with osteoarthritis. Again, the studies are small. It's a particular type of collagen, so undenatured collagen type 2. So you'll see it on the packet as UC2. Studies are small, 50 people. Some against placebo didn't show any difference compared to placebo. So again, take it with a pinch of salt. But there was some that did show an improvement in pain through an immune response rather than collagen protein response, if that makes sense. So, you know, you could argue the case, if you were throwing everything at it for joints, that maybe taking that particular type of collagen could see a small improvement. But overall, from the studies I've looked at, there's been nothing compelling. There's been nothing that stops me kind of going, oh, that's not overhyped, that's really working, all women should be taking this, it's going to have such an amazing effect. It isn't. And the problem is that sometimes stops people doing the thing that's going to make the biggest difference, and can distract people. People will be like, oh, you know, they've seen it marketed everywhere. The marketing is amazing, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, and I think that's a really big thing to highlight, is the marketing of these is very, very good. Like, and
very good. You know,
you have sold them.
Yeah. I mean, like, we talked about this before. You would literally have to go and do a deep dive, wouldn't you, to kind of go, because I do get to the point where I'm like, gosh, should I be taking this? You know, is it going to make a difference? It's, you know, it's people we trust who are marketing this as well, which makes it really hard for women to kind of step back and, you know, and who's going to do a deep dive, you know, where you really, you know, you trust these companies to tell you the truth.
Like, this drives me insane, is to be like a healthy person, you shouldn't have to go deep dive to find out whether the thing that you are taking is like
effective,
effective, good quality, have a point to
exactly.
It falls down the same idea of if you were around in the fitness industry, like, or you've seen anything to do with health maybe within the last 10 years, you might remember the idea of like BCAAs.
Yes.
And that, again, they were all the hype, all the rage about 10-15 years ago, and now nobody talks about them because they were all the hype, but they were just being marketed as something that was like super important.
Absolutely, yeah.
But actually aren't essential at all. Do you know what was more important? Overall protein.
Protein.
Yeah.
Exactly. Again. And I get why it's so attractive, because we're all busy, we're all looking for a quick fix, and I'm not immune to that. But this is where I find it really frustrating, and actually to the point where I think probably one of the biggest crises in women's health at the moment is the misinformation. And because I think it stops us doing the things that will make the biggest difference. And I think that's the bit that I find hardest and most frustrating, is that it over promises. And, you know, things that, you know, like you put on your Instagram all the time, you know, eating enough adequate protein, having a balanced diet, eat your fruit and veg. strength training, make it progressive, make it challenging. You know, those kind of things make such a difference. Or if you're looking at joints, you know, see a physio, look at, you know, load management. Are you doing the right exercises? If it's your skin, are you wearing SPF? Have you got a balanced diet? Are you hydrated? You know, all the things, all the basics that are a bit boring, you know, not very sexy, not very marketable on Instagram. I think it stops people doing those things sometimes. Not always. Sometimes if people are taking a collagen supplement, it can promote other healthy behaviours, like they're popping it into a smoothie every morning, or they start looking after the skin with SPF because they don't want to lose, you know, what they think they're getting from the collagen. So it can, you know, it can be both sides, but I just think we do women a disservice sometimes. I think the marketing makes it seem so believable that it can be a barrier, and I think that's a real shame. So, you know, I still stand by it's overhyped. I think that's where I'm at with collagen at the moment.
I think as well, like, you've made a really good point there about the marketing of this, and we need to be really mindful of what we're like doing. And if let's say that all of the studies that were showing a slight chance of improvement are actually they are the
let's go with it.
Let's go down that route and say, like, this is actually it. There are still bigger rocks that you can turn over.
There is.
And that's really where we want to start. Like, and I think we often get pulled into this of doing the sexy things and like the little 1% things, but actually we're not doing the big 50% things to start off with.
Absolutely.
Really, whether it is coming down to whether we're thinking about your skin, whether we're thinking about your muscles, whether we're thinking about your joints, your tendons, the long and short of it comes down to those basic habits of, are you eating good quality food? And that includes protein, that includes fiber. And once you're getting those, and you're probably getting your micronutrients in by proxy of doing that. Are you resistance training? Are you lifting weights? Are you improving over time? Like, are you progressively overloading? Are you drinking enough water? Are you doing general movement on a day-to-day basis that can help, you know, facilitate active rest? Like, are we covering all of those bases? Are you minimizing your alcohol intake? Are you not smoking? Like, if we're doing all of these things, then do the collagen. Like, that's fine. Like, if you really want to do that and do the collagen, be our guests. But if we are not doing those things first, why would we not go for those things?
So, absolutely, you're so right. It is a 1%. It is a 1%. It's so true. It, you know, and but it's because it seems like an easy fix. It's so attractive. You know, just, you know, and mix it into your coffee in the morning. That's the thing, but it's not cheap either. You know, this is the thing as well. You know, we're asking women to you know, and I say women, and I'm sure it's marketed as men as well, but I think most of it is, you know, collagen powders are marketed at women. But we're asking women to spend their hard-earned money on something that's only 1%. You kind of go, well, actually, maybe you're better off just buying a really good SPF, or putting that towards, you know, buying some weights, or, you know, something else that we know is more effective. And that's, you know, I just think it's a shame. I really do. So,
and this is so prominent in the fitness industry, in the health industry, in the wellness industry at the moment, with people promoting like these little things all the time. Like, we're seeing it with electrolytes, we're seeing it with collagen, we're seeing it with so many like ultra processed foods as well. Like, we are seeing people talking about these things that actually there are other things to focus on first, or other places that if you want to spend money on your health, which I am a big advocate for, invest in yourself. But if you want to spend it there are better places to invest your money. Like, we don't need to worry about everything being fine-tuned and optimized when we're not even doing the basics. Like, we want to focus on doing the basics and doing them consistently to start off with.
And I think that's the problem. It's become so overcomplicated that people don't even quite know what the basics are anymore. And I think it is like, it's such a good marketing tool, really, isn't it, when you think about it? Because you kind of go, let's make it so complicated that you have to then give your money to someone to tell you a program or sell you something that you probably don't need. But then it's, you know, then that's the problem. They just make it that complicated that you kind of then become reliant on them. It's, and you're constantly searching, shall I be doing that thing? Or, you just feel totally overwhelmed. I see people stopping doing, they get to the point where they kind of go, I don't know what to eat anymore, just do the exercise that you like, do it that, something that you enjoy, eat a balanced diet. It shouldn't be as complicated as we make it, but it's made complicated to sell something always, and that's the problem.
We've got to look at the incentive behind the companies that are like selling these products. Like, what is their job? And without going into the details of we live in a capitalist society, and let's talk about all the problems with that. But like, without going into that, we can also appreciate that these companies are selling to groups of people who tend to have, one, purchasing power, and two, they are a very, very marketable group. If you ask anybody that's done like a basic bit of marketing or has ever worked in a marketing company, they will tell you that the prime consumer for most products, if we're talking general market, is women, usually aged 30 plus, because they have disposable income, and they have been told for their entire lives that there will be constantly something wrong with them. Their skin is going to age, so therefore you need to start taking something to protect you from aging. You are going to experience like the menopause, therefore you need to make sure you're training specifically for the menopause. You have all of these niche things, and and like you, like as like that group of people, we are, I guess, at the prime point to be marketed to. So if things are specifically been marketed towards women, I would often question, is there a reason for this? Or is it because that's where the money is? Are the companies just following the money and seeing that this is a hype, seeing that this is a trend, and seeing it as something that they can jump on? Like,
and that is
all this time.
That is it in a nutshell. That's exactly what happens, and we're seeing it so much with electrolytes at the moment. It's suddenly, it starts somewhere, and then, great marketing, and then it just, it just rolls, doesn't it? Every company's suddenly bringing out electrolyte drink, or, same with collagen. It's just so, it is really frustrating, I think. It's expensive, it's unnecessary, it doesn't help women at all. It's, so, some things are helpful, obviously, I have to check my bias. I'm sometimes a little anti-supplements. Definitely less is more, but I just, it's too much now. Too expensive, too overhyped, too many promises, and it is that bit where you go, it's that age-old sales tactic to tell us we're broken and then sell us something to fix it. It's just like, it's hard to know what the truth is. I think if you're on Instagram or any social media, I think it's confusing, and I think then it makes it hard for people to do the right thing because they start doubting themselves, and that's such a shame, isn't it?
And I think you made a really good point there, that like this is often things that we are seeing and definitely been exacerbated by social media. And one thing where we can see this like quite regularly is if you are scrolling through your feed and out of every 10 posts that you've seen about collagen, one is saying, don't bother taking it, you don't need it, and 9 are saying, here's my collagen supplement that I take every day, you should definitely take this. Your brain is gonna bias where it's seen the majority of the evidence. So if 9 out of the 10, 90% of those posts that you have seen are about taking collagen and the benefits of collagen, your brain is gonna go, okay, well, collagen, it sounds like we need to take that. And it is so understandable how we have got to this point where we can see.
I've done it. Even working in the industry, I have gone, God, that's someone I really trust selling that. So maybe there's been some new evidence that I'm not aware of, and like everyone, I'd love my skin to be better. So, I have got osteoarthritis, I kind of go, oh, should I be? Then when you look into it, because no, there's no new studies. It might have been that particular collagen supplement company has done their own study, but again, usually self-reported, not particularly a great study. And I think, it's confusing because you trust those people, you trust those companies, and then before you know it, you're parting with your money and potentially not doing the things that make a massive difference. So, it's a shame. It is a shame.
Yeah, honestly, like you'd be better off spending the 30 quid on La Roche-Posay.
Yes, sun cream, exactly. It's a great sun cream. Eat your protein. But it's easy to say. It's easy to sit here and say from kind of like a, you know, a privileged position probably, and from somebody who works in the industry, because, you know, I don't blame women. You know, it's not the consumer's fault, because like we're just saying, even we can get sucked into that. So it's no one's fault. But I would just say, and you've hit the nail on the head, when it's only one voice against 9 voices, people tend to trust the majority. So it's hard. So it's great that you're getting that message out there. But I just hope that people do listen, you know, and not like I'd say to people, like even to my friends, because I'll have people who'll say to me, but it definitely works. I definitely see a difference. And I'll say, well, just don't take it for 3 months maybe and really see, does it make a difference? You know, but I think it's that sometimes when you've invested in something, you're kind of looking more, or maybe because you've spent your money, it's that placebo effect. But, you know, I'm not taking away people's, you know, individual response to it, but, you know, I don't think the studies kind of suggest that it works really.
And I think that that's a really good point to put down here, is if you've listened to this and you've just gone, nah, these two absolute bullshit. You're like, it is the collagen. Collagen is my absolute supplement. I will be taking it forever and ever and ever. Cool. And yeah. Why not run that experiment for yourself? Why not focus on making sure you're getting in enough protein? Why not make sure that you're putting your SPF on, you're drinking plenty of water, you're getting a wide range of plants in so that you're getting your vitamin C, your ions included, you're getting all of these, you know, your essential vitamins that you need in as well. If you do that and you're like, okay, I like felt better when I was also taking the collagen. Cool, start taking the collagen again. Do all of those things as well, and like you won't be worse off for it. Like you can make your own experiments.
Yeah, and I'm all for it's your body. You can do whatever you want with it. What I don't like is when people are selling it as a, you know, look to camera, this is life changing. I've never felt better, because I kind of really, do you really feel like that, or are you getting paid to say that? And that's the bit where I think it's muddy waters. And
I think we can also mention here as well the idea of like I think I've got the right phenomenon when I say this, but healthy user bias, as in when you start doing one health promoting behavior, that often cascades into other health promoting behaviors. So like you mentioned earlier, if you take collagen and you then have it in a smoothie, you're then eating more plants and you're eating more fruits and vegetables. And
absolutely,
you might be doing that because you are also thinking about losing weight, and therefore you're starting to walk more, and you might be doing that,
might be drinking more water, or
like, and you've also gone, oh, I need to like do this. So is it the increase in collagen, or is it that you've done all of these other behaviors and that's helped you feel better?
And weirdly, what I find, if people are doing those extra healthy behaviors or the basics, they still tend to think it's the supplement. So you kind of go, I think this is where it sometimes perhaps comes down to that amazing marketing, where when you kind of go, okay, what else are you doing at the moment? And then they'll list those things like you say, well, I'm actually eating more fruits and veg, I'm eating more fibre, my gut health's improved, and I am walking more. But it'll still be, oh, but I've definitely noticed that the collagen's making my skin better. And you kind of go, oh, you wouldn't. People don't all automatically assume it's the other things that they're doing. And that's where I kind of go, God, that marketing is powerful.
Then as well, though, that comes back down to, and again, I'm hoping I'm getting the right one, but sunken cost fallacy, where you have spent money or time on something.
That's what I mean, when someone's invested,
like you're invested in it working, so you hope it works. So, yeah, I guess just check your brain.
Exactly. Just check it. You know, and with all these supplements, it is hard. I mean, I kind of go, where would you go to know? It's hard. You know, there's so many good nutritionists and dietitians and people who call out misinformation. So careful who you follow. I would rather people ask me, you know, if you're confused about something. I can't give personal advice, but I could certainly say, these are the pros and cons of this supplement. I'd rather people ask and know before they make that purchase. But, you know, then on the flip side, you kind of go, right, if you're invested and you're seeing a difference, then, you know, maybe there is power in the placebo. I don't know what the answer is, but I just think, I feel like there needs to be like all supplement companies have to tell the truth. Like, like if they did, it'd just be like, you know, like magnesium only works if you're deficient, or, you know, what else is there? Electrolytes only if you're sweating or vomiting. You know, you kind of if they all have to tell the truth, we'd all just know where we are, and then you make the choice. But at the moment, it's that, you know, I see it with probiotics. You have people who look down the camera at the moment, this changed my life, and you just go, did it? You know, all that supplement company has got is a clinical study to show that it reaches the gut. They've got no other study to show what it does when it gets there. Yeah. And all those probiotics they've got there, they haven't got any idea whether they work in combination. You know, it's things like that I kind of go, put that on your supplement and then let people decide.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I think, like, again, it is just these nutrition fads, and you've mentioned a few more that I am actually just we'll just quickly touch on electrolytes, because we mentioned it like 3 times here, and I was like, we might as well
that's in our feed, I think.
So electrolytes are basically, it will be usually in a powder or a drink. That is usually, or they're sometimes in a tablet form. But basically what it is it will replace the minerals that you have lost during sweating, or, well, basically sweating. That's kind of, or if it's come out of either end because you're not very well, it is because of that. Basically, you have excreted minerals from your body via some method, and you will end up therefore dehydrated, or rather your electrolyte balance will end up off, and it can often be associated with dehydration. And if you are someone who runs, say, a lot, and you run in heat, and so basically excessive exercise that will lead to sweating, and excessive excessive sweating as a result of running in a super hot climate, both of those things can lead to salt lost. I think that's the best way to explain it. Is one of the electrolytes is sodium. So like, you will often find that if you touch your skin, I know that after I've been for a run, like, and if I've done a long run, I've been sweaty, I will literally feel the salt on my skin.
Yeah, or sometimes people see it on the clothes in white patches, don't they?
White patches on clothes, so that can be a good clue that you might be losing a decent amount of salt. Maybe you want to replace with electrolytes. If you are an everyday person who walks a little bit and you're not really sweating that much, and you have not got anything exiting your body through your mouth or anywhere else, you're probably fine. You don't need electrolytes. Like, there is no, unless you are an incredibly sweaty person.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be all right. Have we covered electrolytes fine there? Was that
that was a great summary. I don't know, it's a good summary, because I think people get confused. And the thing that I see a lot of electrolyte companies saying, or the marketing saying, is that it'll give you energy. Now, you don't get energy particularly from your electrolytes. It might make you feel more hydrated, so you feel energized, but it's not like you're having a carb drink or, you know, a sports drink or anything like that. So I think this is where it always gets confusing for people. People are like, oh, if I have it in the morning, then I feel really energized. But you could kind of go, well, have a glass of water and see if you're going to save yourself some money. Like, unless there's an issue.
It comes back to these healthy behaviours, though, of if you are having the electrolyte drink, you are actually hydrating yourself with the liquid in the drink. Therefore, you just need to have a drink.
Just the drink. Exactly. And you can have too much salt. This is the other thing that we can see with electrolytes, is that if you've already got a high salt diet, a lot of people have in the UK, then you're taking electrolytes on the top of it without making any adjustments, and you're not really sweating, you haven't got, you know, a virus that's making you vomit, then, you know, then you can be adding extra salt that you just don't need, which is linked to high blood pressure. So there is a downside sometimes. They're not nothing supplements, and that's what we have to remember. You know, that's what one thing, you know, we spoke about before, is that combination of supplements as well, isn't it? Where you kind of go, people are taking a lot of things, because the other thing that I see in some electrolytes is B vitamins.
Yes.
And people might be taking
vitamin overdosing.
Yeah. And then so you've got a multivitamin, your electrolytes, maybe something else, and even some collagen powders. You know, you see them starting to add B vitamins in, biotin, the vitamin C in. You kind of get, most people will get enough of those things from the diet, but you can just check all your supplements, I would say to people. Are you doubling up? Because people tend to just kind of go, oh, they're safe, that person's marketed it. You know, just double check that you're not taking 3 lots of B vitamin, and do you really need them in the first place? So you know, they're not nothing, are they?
Yeah.
You can have too much. It's,
I guess in this case, it is too much of a somewhat good thing.
I was going to say, because that's why I kind of stopped short, because I was thinking, is it a good thing?
Yeah. It's a good thing if you're deficient in them.
That's the thing, and a lot of people aren't.
Yeah. And I think like one thing to mention is that certain vitamins your body will just get like flush out effectively if you are having
all the water soluble ones.
So
expensive wee.
A really good example of this is that you're just making your wee expensive, but like you, from a like general health perspective, you can't really overdose on vitamin C. You will just like wee an awful lot.
Yeah.
So like make sure that you are like adequately hydrated and don't overdose on vitamin C. But like other vitamins, like B vitamins, if you overdose on those, that
can be side effects. Yeah,
that you probably don't want to have.
And vitamin D, I see it a lot with vitamin D, and that's the other thing that I see a lot in collagen powders is vitamin D and other supplements. And people sometimes are already taking too big a dose of vitamin D because they've got the 4,000 and the 400 international units mixed up. So check. Speak to wherever, if you're buying it from somewhere, or speak to a healthcare provider, make sure you're getting the right dose. But then again, make sure it's also not hidden in the powder that you're buying and you're having too much. Too much is sometimes not a good thing. You will store it, you can get calcium stones if you have too much. So that's what bothers me a lot about supplements, because the marketing's so powerful, but they forget to tell you that there are sometimes a downside, and there are drug interactions. There can be interactions with medication that you're taking. There can be interactions between the supplements. So have someone check them at least, or at least read all the labels and know what you're getting, because that's so important.
Yeah, like if you are, especially when it comes to like taking anything new, if you are taking drugs in particular, speak with your pharmacist about it and just be like,
always.
I've just started taking X. Is that going to be a problem on the medication that I'm on? Oh, I've just started taking Y. Is that going to be a problem? And they will generally be able to tell you, if not look up and find out for you.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a great place to start.
Yeah, or speak with your GP. I appreciate that it's not always the easiest thing to get an appointment with a GP, but your pharmacy are there.
I think they're good. Yeah,
such an easy place to like just to go speak to someone about.
Agree.
So just like if you are worried on like on the supplement side of things, like go there. Out of interest, are there any supplements that you take? Because I have a couple that I take, but again, I'm a less is more approach, and it comes from diet first. And I think that's one thing to caveat all this with is it's supplements are a cherry on top. They're not the whole cake.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Food first.
Yeah, I'm the same, and we're both in a privileged position where we can eat a good balanced diet, so got to acknowledge that. So I feel like I kind of probably cover most food groups, but I don't. I'm terrible, because my problem with supplements is that I forget to take them, so I tend not to. Vitamin D, I do. That's it. I think I just take a vitamin D. I've kind of dabbled sometimes with an omega-3 if I know that I'm not eating oily fish, but I've kind of got a few set recipes that makes oily fish taste a little better. So I've kind of started trying to eat more mackerel and sardines. What else have I taken? No, to be honest with you, like I did, and this is where I probably fell into a bit of a marketing trap, was at one point I was taking magnesium before bed because my sleep was poor because I'm menopausal. And then I kind of went, is this really doing anything? And it was it's fairly expensive supplement. So I stopped taking it, and I just, I didn't sleep any better with it or without it. But my magnesium levels are probably fine. I eat quite a lot of seeds, spinach, dark chocolate by the booklet. So it's, no, not many. Them are ones. I've dabbled with creatine, but now this is where my bias came in, and I don't know whether to be honest or not. I read one study that was a really poor study, actually, and this just shows how swayed you can be, and it mentioned hair loss, which is an issue I have in the menopause. Yeah. And it was a poor study, and it's since been replicated that it does nothing. It really does not cause hair loss, but I can't let it go because it's an issue that I'm fighting all the time. So I could easily get sucked into that world, and I can see how it happens where anybody talks about hair loss in menopause, I'm like, oh my god, do I need to take that? I must take that. Let me try that. Definitely get sucked in on, cosmetically and shampoos and scalp serums. I'm constantly on the hunt for the perfect thing. But again, vitamin D levels, iron, is my thyroid function okay? Am I eating enough calories for my body always? All those important things, I have to remember to come back to them and not distract myself with the 1%. So I see how easy it is to fall down that. So yeah, I have dabbled, but then I got, swayed by some really bad study that is not true. So people don't need to panic. And I probably would go back to taking that again if there's better studies on things like brain fog. But at the moment, it's a bit of a watch and wait area, isn't it? So I think if those studies are kind of replicated, I think then I'll kind of be like, right, that's one for me to take. And anything to help with any menopause symptoms, I'd be all over. So, but that's me. What about you? What do you take?
Well, just to add to that before I give you my my supplement stack, links in bio.
yeah. Follow the links. No.
Find my affiliate link. But in terms of creatine, creatine is one of the most well researched.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Out there.
And if you want more reps, that's
yeah. So like in terms of like if you are thinking about taking that or you already take that, you're in a really good position. But about 4 to 6 months ago, I did a podcast episode with Rich Stewart. If you just go onto the platform that you are like listening or watching this on, and just literally type in like Body Beyond the Scales Rich Stewart, or like Body Beyond the Scales creatine, you'll find it. And we did a real deep dive into creatine, the science behind it, and it was like such an interesting and such a deep dive episode into that. So if you are thinking about taking that, check that.
Well, I'll go listen to that one. I haven't listened to that one yet.
Yeah, you go treat yourself as well. But in terms of what supplements I take, so this year's the first year I've taken vitamin D continuously from basically around October time till about now. Genuinely, I have not felt any sad this year. I felt like
that's good.
In like February, and then I was like over late January, February, and I was just like, I'm just waiting for the clocks to change. Like as soon as these clocks change, everything will be better. And like as soon as it started getting lighter, I was like, this is it. I just needed daylight. Like that's all it was.
Yeah.
Just I tend to find that like I'm fine in November, December time because it's my birthday, Christmas is coming up, like there's just a lot going on, so like I tend to be distracted in that time. But like January, February, I am prone to getting the sad.
Me too. But with vitamin D, you notice a difference. That's brilliant. Yeah.
So, but I've taken vitamin D, and I just took that consistently. And again, I'm not taking any other supplements other than the one that I'm about to mention. And that has like, obviously that is the only vitamin D I'm taking. So yeah, that has worked really well. So I would highly recommend that. And that is something that is recommended in the UK between the months of October and April due to the lack of sunlight in the UK.
Yeah. or for some people, dark skin, older age, you might need to take it all year. But like we talked about before, it doesn't need to be some crazy dose. Stick to the recommended.
Also super cheap, like as a supplement.
It is. It's a brilliant supplement. Yeah.
I think I bought a 6 month supply for about £8.
Yeah.
It was not expensive. I also take iron, and there are two reasons why I take iron. One, I am a person who bleeds, and that bleeding leads to me having low iron levels. Which happened. I went for a few blood tests about 2 years ago, and every time I went, they were like, "Your iron levels are low." Yeah. I was like, "Yeah, all right, let's do the iron supplement then." So I take that, and the other reason is I run, and I run quite long distances, and I believe that the running of long distances can lead to popping of red blood cells, which leads to like slightly less iron. So you can end up like losing more iron. So I take it to cover that. And to be honest,
now that's not something that I was aware of, because I don't, I'm not a sports nutritionist. So for people listening how I run, but probably not 5k. So that's okay, but longer, that might be a consideration
Yeah, like, I think if it's something that you find that you are slightly low energy, but your food is in check, I think that's something that's really important to say here as well, especially when you start adding the longer distances in. If you are not eating enough carbohydrates, you will notice your
Oh my
energy
goodness, completely.
like,
Yeah.
hugely. So just making sure that you are eating enough
Enough.
of
Yeah.
the
Enough
like
carbs.
of
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
nutrients. If you are still noticing that your energy has dipped, then you might want to consider iron. However, what I would recommend probably doing first is maybe going and seeing your doctor. They will
Test.
do a
Yeah.
blood test. It is a super easy thing. Even if you are like afraid of blood tests, it literally takes 5 minutes.
Yeah. I would always say that with iron. Just if you're in doubt and you're feeling slightly fatigued in some way, especially if you're having periods, go get it tested. Yeah.
100%. If you are a person who bleeds, then just go see your doctor.
Yeah.
And it is a 5-minute conversation. You might even be able to do it like over the phone these days, and they will just send you in for a blood test. And it is just such an easy thing to do. So I supplement with iron, and then if I am not eating enough omega-3s, I will supplement with omega-3s as well.
Yeah.
But I am generally at the moment making an active effort to get my 2 portions of oily fish in.
Yeah. Well done.
And again, like, these come down to brain health as well. Like omega-3s, if you're not aware of what they do, they're really key for brain health.
And heart health, lowering inflammation.
Well. Yeah. So like, it's
so important.
If you can get your omega-3s in via your diet, great. And if you can't, supplement. If you are if you are vegetarian or vegan and you don't eat oily fish, there are supplements that you can take. Obviously, I would just say go for the easy ones that are made from fish. It depends on how strict you are on your vegetarian.
Or there is the algae supplement. So
if you're super strict, go for the algae supplements. And they are, I believe, now just as good as the normal supplements.
I think so now. There was some studies, wasn't there, where they weren't quite as comparable, but I think now they are.
We're good to go with them.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say with omega-3, it's essential. Your body's not going to make fat, so you do need to eat it. So you can be, have lower amounts than perhaps you need. So it's a bit like, when we're talking about those 9 essential amino acids, we need to eat them. So, we can easily miss that, can't we?
Then in terms of creatine, I have tried taking it. Can I make it a habit? Absolutely not. I am also, I didn't like the taste of it when I had it. And
I found it a hard habit.
It me out. So like, I've got a bag of it in the cupboard. And
have you ever tried a collagen supplement?
I haven't, no.
No, I bought one in a moment of, I believe that person's believable. Maybe I should, and there was a mention of hair, so I'd gone off on a wild tangent. But I think the bit that surprised me was, because you just see people just go, and like it's
it back,
and it just looks like it's just like nice and creamy. I could tell. I just like, it certainly doesn't work in tea. And there was a bit where I was like, I don't know. I wasn't as it didn't seem quite as simple as just stirring a teaspoon in your coffee. I think you need to really whisk it up. But maybe they've got better. But I found those two quite similar in that I didn't quite like how it was in taste and
it was the taste and texture of it, and I had it like maybe 2-3 days in a row, and I was like, oh,
not for me.
But I would like to start taking creatine, and that is something that is on my agenda, but it's been on my agenda for about 5 years. So but the other thing to mention, and this is just something that I don't consider this to be a supplement, is just protein powder. Some people will say that falls under a supplement. I personally don't think it does in the same category as this. I would say it is more a very easy way to get your protein in.
If you need a top up,
like I have it with food. It's in my breakfast. It's just a really easy, palatable way for me to get protein in first thing without it being expensive. And so if we are considering that under supplements I also take protein powder, but personally I would not call that a supplement.
It's an easy win. I've seen lately a bit of a backlash because people are going, oh, it's so processed, and obviously eat your protein, course, absolutely eat your protein. We talked about that food matrix, but it's so effective, it's such an easy win. I wouldn't, don't use it as your protein source all the way through the day, but you just kind of go, oh, it's a great way of topping up. But
like it gets me an extra 20 to 30 grams in without having to think about it. And I also know that from like my personal experience that if I have a portion of protein at breakfast, I have significantly fewer cravings throughout the day, and especially on an evening. So for me, it is just a no-brainer. It's the same. I was having porridge for breakfast. Now I have protein porridge for breakfast. So
you don't know it's there either, do you? It's
and that is one that I generally can't tell. Like, I don't feel icked out by it. Obviously there are different protein powders, and different ones will be flavored better than others.
And if you like,
textures, but
yes, exactly. It's a taste thing, and I think that's the problem with some things. If with any supplement, if the taste awful, then you're not going to keep repeating it. But I just think if you're someone who's got ages to spend making a breakfast in the morning, like, hats off to you, brilliant. But for me, it's like, what's quick? And if you can just spoon things into your Greek yogurt or your porridge or whatever, then it's such a win, isn't it? It's just like,
make it as easy as possible. And
absolutely.
And that's like one of the things as well when it comes down to building habits, is that if you can make it as easy as possible, you're way more likely to stick to it. And if you can make it pleasant, you're also way more likely to stick to it.
100%. Yeah,
do
exactly.
those things, and things are easy. But I guess just to summarize on our conversation about collagen,
we've gone off on
we've gone well off collagen. But just to summarize, I guess, as a whole, I think the most important thing here is, if you are getting the big rocks in, you are resistance training, you're drinking enough water, you're seeing sunlight, but making sure you're wearing your SPF. You're getting your steps in regularly, you're eating a wide range of fruits and vegetables and plants in general, you're eating a good amount of protein per day. If you are doing all of these things and you want to add collagen in as well, go for it. If you want to add electrolytes in and you're sweating a lot, go for it. If you want to add another magical supplement in, go for it. But as long as you're doing those basics first, and get those basics in there, everything is much better when you're doing the basics. And I think that's probably the best place the best place to
and just know that probably how it's sold is overhyped. Just be aware of that, I think.
I think sometimes you've got to ask yourself as well, is this been marketed towards men? And if the answer is no, then it might just be that you're getting
probably wipe out, 80%? I would have thought.
That rule doesn't apply to everything.
No.
With nutrition supplements, it often does.
It does.
Final question then, Jo, and this is a question that I like to ask everybody. What does being healthy mean to you?
Okay. Well, I knew you were going to ask, so I've seen the podcast.
As I prepared earlier.
So I found it. I've just got to the place where I've really overthought it, and I find it. I'm not sure anymore. So obviously, having a healthy body, being able to build muscle, eat your fruit and veg, have protein everywhere. Great. But there's a bit. The older I get, the more for me it is about peace and happiness, and just having, peace, I think, sometimes, and, no dramas. But, it's hard. I can't put it in, obviously, because I can't even get my words out. I can't put it into, like, a nice kind of neat sentence. I had a look at the WHO definition, which I now can't remember what.
So WHO was in the World Health Organization. It's basically the absence of disease. That's what it kind of comes down to. It's not necessarily about wellness. It's about just not being
free of and that doesn't work, because you kind of go, well, actually people live really well with chronic diseases. So that didn't work for me in any shape or form. But there's a bit where I feel like there's, especially at the moment, that kind of health in terms of being able to eat well, exercise, build muscle, isn't something that's, that everyone can do. And I think that's why I find it such a struggle to kind of to put it into kind of like a nice little box, because it bothers me that that's something that is kind of so many people will have mountain debt, or aren't able to kind of what was the broken plate report? I mean, that's it's appalling. It shows that per calorie healthy, whatever that would be, food or non-ultra processed food was twice as expensive than ultra processed foods. I mean, just that stat alone bothers me, that I kind of think, well, then health isn't something that everybody can strive for. So I think health for me is also everyone being able to make a choice, and everyone being well informed, well educated, having a choice. Then they decide whether they want to do those healthy habits. But at the moment, I think that's stripped away from so many people because of the world that we live in. I'm saying all this really, really badly, but yeah, I don't like that there's such a divide. And I just think for me, health will be when it's something that everyone can choose to have. At the moment, we are so far from that. And I think that's why I find social media, I just think it's bullshit sometimes, because I kind of think, for the vast majority of people, or a lot of people, aren't thinking about putting, which type of seed am I putting on my breakfast at the moment, or am I having enough fibre in my diet? Because they can't, they're making way bigger decisions about whether they heat their house or clothe their children or put food on the table. It will just be about fullness. And, I hate that I'm making this, or maybe I don't hate that, but I am making this political and policy based. But until that changes, I just think health isn't something that everybody can strive for. Yeah. And until then, I will struggle to tell you what healthy is, because I don't know anymore. I don't know. Did any of that make sense, Holly? That was really shocking.
No, I get that. And I think health is political, and that's not something we can ignore.
Yeah.
And if you are at this point and you are listening to this podcast, you are in probably a privileged enough position that you can think about your own individual health. And I think one thing just to think about is, how lucky are you that you can do that?
Yeah.
Like, how
it's so true. It's so privileged. Yeah. It is. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. This is the other thing. And I kind of go, well, what am I doing to even help that situation? I don't know. That's why I probably struggle to post on Instagram, because I don't know what...
a career crisis here.
Exactly. Starting off just about collagen, and we're going like, I'm nearly crying. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that something's really broken at the moment, and it bothers me. So I'll get off my soapbox. But if answers on a postcard, guess what are we going to do? What can we do?
Just out of interest, do you personally feel healthy?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I could be healthier, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And
could be healthy.
Yes, I mean, it could, you kind of go, where's it end? I mean, it's just like, but I probably was healthier. But I think, and this is where, when you talk about the menopause, and it's why we're such a group that, we're easy, the marketing, you can definitely be swayed. Because I've definitely noticed a change in... And I don't think, it isn't, we know from the studies, it isn't just the hormones, it's the impact the hormones have. So, my sleep's probably poorer. Am I exercising as much now because I'm more tired? No, I'm not. So, it's, so no, I do feel healthy. I am free, touch wood at the moment, free of disease in the World Health Organization way, but I am... I would like to I would like to do more resistance training, and that I am a bit of an exercise dodger sometimes. And I know, when people are talking about, their 2-hour morning routine where they're injecting, unproven peptides and I don't know, other supplements like NAD or something, I don't know. And they've got 2 hours to do this, and they're talking about longevity. You kind of go, well, actually, one of the biggest hacks for longevity is building muscle. And, that's the big one for me. And I kind of go, I could do more of that. So maybe, this is a reminder. So yes, I am relatively healthy, but I could do more. I think my diet's imperfectly perfect in some way. I kind of, do I eat my 5 a day? Yes. Do I probably get enough fibre? Not every day, but most days. It's all right. I will eat ultra processed foods. I'm busy. I do sometimes just want quick and easy, like everybody. But will I throw some veg on the side? Yes, I will.
For me, like on that note, I would always rather be consistently imperfectly healthy than cyclically healthy. So like cyclically perfect when it came to things like, oh, if I optimized everything to a T where I was getting all the perfect grams of fiber in and the perfect protein in and making sure I minimize the amount of processed foods that I eat, and I did this and I resistance trained 5 times a week, and I then did my cardiovascular stuff, and then I did my yoga on top of that, and like just honestly at that point you'd be bloody exhausted anyway, and then I'm not quite sure that's healthy, but like but like I'd rather like not set this in like perfect standard for myself, but consistently.
Absolutely. Because I think what actually that does is make everything stressful. And then if the things that you're doing to be healthy make you anxious, then they're no longer healthy, are they? So
and I think we need to recognize that health is more than just, okay, so you resistance train, it's okay, but how do you feel in your body? How do you feel in your like mind? How is your mental health? How is your physical health? Like how is your social health, your emotional health? Like all of these, like
community contact, you know, all of the other things that go with it. And I think sometimes that message comes through on social media, but sometimes it's just so focused on one thing always, isn't it? It's like fiber, then it's protein, then it's muscle. It's kind of like, it is that total, you know, all those things, you know, your relationships, you know, it's so much more than food and exercise, isn't it? Let's face it. So, which is probably what I meant by finding peace and happiness, I think, but I said it so badly.
So if people want to find you, they want to, I guess, follow you on Instagram to see the posts that you don't post.
Yes.
If people want to get you, where can they get you?
It's so true, don't expect many, one a month. So it's Jo Meadows Nutrition on Instagram. I haven't got any other social media. That's where people will find me. I do have a website. So hopefully that made some sense to people.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully you've enjoyed listening to this episode and you now know a little bit more about collagen and supplements in general. And yeah, if you're excited to listen to the next one, make sure that you hit subscribe or follow on whatever platform that you are currently listening to this on. And if you've enjoyed the episode, please make sure that you give it a 5-star rating or review. But otherwise, I will catch you in the next episode.